How's making a sandwich?
Just using the toilet.
Whatever you need.
Dead.
Charles Bronson. Goodbye. Death Wish 2. He's doing it for you.
Hello and welcome back to the B-Movie Rollout. Now I know what you're thinking. I'm reviewing another Death Wish movie.
And it isn't the one where he's running around shooting a machine gun from the hip?
Yeah, I know. Truth be told, I wasn't even going to review this one.
Until I saw this clip on YouTube, which is a debate over the quality of Death Wish 2 between director Michael Winner and critic Anna Rayburn. Rayburn and others hated Death Wish 2, so she sought to take him to task over it. In fact, for this episode, I'm going to try to frame my review in the context of this debate and offer some of my own points, because I agree and disagree with some of the things both of these people say.
If that makes any sense. Now let's get to it.
Here's Death Wish 2, The Death of Death. Oh wait, no, that's not right. Death Wish 2, The Face of Crack. Wait, no, that's not it either. Death Wish 2, The Quickening.
Actually, it's just Death Wish 2. Roll it.
Movie opens to intro credits played over a radio report discussing an astronomical rise in crime.
The only way we're going to win, make no mistake, this is a war.
Now remember, this is a Death Wish movie. This entire series is about advocating a military-style approach to crime and criminals. It's entirely black and white. Those who commit crimes are the enemy, and they must be destroyed, plain and simple.
This message got a little muddled and cartoony in the later sequels, as the series also raged about police incompetence.
Sometimes the law works, and sometimes it doesn't.
But this all-out war stance against anyone who breaks the law was something the filmmakers took very seriously early on. In fact, director Michael Winner claims that the rise of crime was the reason Death Wish 2 was made in the first place.
The mammoth rise in street violence that we had prophesied had come about. Death Wish 1 was on many of the 10 best of the year film lists in America, was treated very seriously, and I think society has now changed enough 8 years later, which is a long time to wait for a sequel, to make a story of some relevance.
Say what you will about the film's absurdly simplistic worldview, both Death Wish 1 and 2 were financially successful, and the former even received some good reviews. Now let's go back to the opening credits for a minute. Pretty decent music, right? Any guesses on who did it?
Latest crime statistics released today show an alarming rise in violence.
Led Zeppelin's Jimmy Page. Weird, right? I mean, Zeppelin kicks ass, but that's a little out of left field, isn't it? For one, Led Zeppelin had one of the strictest anti-soundtrack policies for a band ever. And two, when you think of classic rock bands that did scores for epic action-adventure movies, who comes to mind? Maybe AC/DC? Or how about Queen?
Gosh! Ah! Savior of the universe!
Okay, Flash Gordon sucks, but Queen's soundtrack almost makes it worthwhile. Now let's see, who else?
Well, I guess Toto did the Dune soundtrack, so there's that. Oh! How about Shakedown by Bob Seger from Beverly Hills Cop 2?
Shakedown, breakdown, take down, everybody wants into the crowd alive. Breakdown, take down, you're busted.
Or what about that song by Eric Clapton and Sting from Lethal Weapon 3?
I hate to say it, I hate to say it, but it's probably...
You get my point, right? All of these artists did other soundtrack work too, you know. So when you think of classic rock artists who do music for movies, there's like a list. And Led Zeppelin is nowhere near that list. So this catches me a little off guard.
Now I'm not saying it's bad necessarily. It could be awesome. I mean, let's remember who Jimmy Page is. one of the greatest rock guitarists of all time. So how much of that epic guitar soloing are we in for? Not very much. It's mostly moody and atmospheric stuff. Certainly not terrible, but nothing to really write home about either. And I don't think I'm alone in saying that.
Very uneven music. It's a bad movie.
It won a Razzie for Worst Soundtrack.
I don't know if it deserves all that, but if you're expecting it to be a sneaky way to put out a greatest hits compilation, or it to feature some fist-pumping anthem, you will be disappointed. But if you like more atmospheric instrumentals, you might want to check it out.
Sorry, I didn't mean to turn this into one of my music episodes. Let's get back to the movie.
Charles Bronson, again playing the role of Paul Kersey, goes with his girlfriend, played by Jill Ireland, to visit his daughter, who is still under psychiatric care, as she hasn't recovered from the traumatic rape she survived in the first movie. Now let's give some credit where credit is due here. The filmmakers treat the notion of rape-induced trauma with much more sensitivity and dignity than a lot of other movies.
Remember Snake Eater 3?
I'd like you to meet our daughter, Vivian.
Vivian, this is our friend, Mr. Kelly. Oh, that's enough, dear.
They go out for ice cream, but Kersey is mugged by a group of hooligans, including a young Lawrence Fishburne. Kersey responds with his trademark phrase.
Hey! Hey! Hey!
Hey!
Hey! Hey, that's my car!
They get away and use his stolen license to find out where he lives. When they arrive at his house, they break in and brutally rape his housekeeper, which is the most infamous scene in the film.
I can't show it, but it is very upsetting, and a huge source of controversy.
Rape, which is nothing new, regrettably, is a terrible thing, but it does happen. It is very much on the minds of the public, and I see no reason why any subject should be excluded from drama.
I feel Winter makes a fair point here, and his follow-up about the heavy-handed British censor is even better, but that's not what we're talking about today.
I would like to say that I think we are talking about rape very gently and nicely, and in fact the sequence, although it involves rape, also involves sodomy. It is, however, worse than nasty. It is dangerous. It is dangerous because it is coy. So what you're doing is you're selling an image of power and violence.
You know, that's another fair point. But unfortunately, Winter's response is reprehensible.
I don't see anything wrong today in showing what goes on in life. It was not done.
But it isn't like that in life. I'm sorry,
Well, you
Mr.
don't
Winter,
know,
it
Anna. You've
just
never been
isn't.
raped.
Have you ever asked me?
Well, have you been raped?
Yes, I have, as a matter of technical interest. Is it of any relevance to your film?
No.
Wow. You know, I'm trying to see Winter's point in all of this, but you can't expect to ask a woman so flippantly if she's ever been raped and get a positive response. He's laughing when he asks her this, and even if she had said no, he would have still looked like an asshole.
The center of the story is not the 15-minute sequence
Well,
which
it's not
builds up
15
to...
minutes.
No,
15
excuse me, the
minutes is
15-minute
exaggerated.
15-minute opening...
I must say.
A 15
If you do watch this debate, you'll find that the moderator is like beyond an idiot.
What is frightening about your film, excuse me, is not the rape sequence, which everybody's getting so very heated about.
Everybody meaning you. I don't get it. She spends this whole debate taking a lot of low-blow shots at Winter and then tearing the movie to shreds almost entirely because of the rape scene, but then runs away from it, as if that criticism is below her and not the real problem of the movie. Nobody comes out of this debate looking good.
When Kersey gets home, they ambush him, knock him unconscious, and kidnap his daughter. They rape her too, which causes her to jump out a window and impale herself on a fence.
God, this is a vicious movie. But I think I know why they got Jimmy Page for the soundtrack.
Kidnapping and raping, at least statutorily, young girls is something Jimmy knows a little something about.
Anyway, we know what's coming next. Kersey's about to become the vigilante, First, he channels Rocky IV to get in shape.
And then he tracks down the gang members one by one, starting with the guy with the stupidest haircut I've ever seen.
You believe in Jesus? Yes, I do. Well, you're going to meet him.
Best scene of the franchise.
He then rescues another woman being raped by one of the muggers in a parking garage.
Oh, so that's where Death Wish 4 stole its opening from. Huh. You know, I never expected to actually use this.
He tried to kill me with a forklift.
Hey, watch out, asshole!
Goodbye.
The cop from the first movie catches wind of these killings, so he comes to LA to stop Kersey. But this storyline really doesn't go anywhere. Kersey catches up to the remaining 3 gang members, including Nightmare on Elm Street 3 survivor Lawrence Fishburne, who are dancing like morons in a park.
Seriously, what gang does this?
He follows them to an arms deal and opens fire. The cop stalking him also shows up, but he's killed. Kersey kills Fishburne in a particularly funny way.
You know, he might have survived if he had visited Q Branch.
Something we're making for the Americans. It's called a ghetto blaster.
Kersey kills another goon, but the leader gets away. The police ID the leader and catch up to him the next day. Watch how many cops it takes to bring him in.
Okay, fellas, let's get it. Hold on.
They would have had an easier time with the Hulk.
Because the guy was clearly high on PCP, they send him to a mental hospital, so Kersey has an opportunity to strike. He steals an employee's ID so he can infiltrate the hospital.
I wonder if that's where Dr. Richard Kimball got the idea.
Before he strikes, he proposes to his girlfriend.
Let's get smashed. Then I want it in writing.
Now that's my kind of woman.
He then infiltrates the hospital.
I was told that Mr. K would be here on duty.
Mr. K? Do you mean me? Well, I'm reviewing this movie, so I guess that means I'm on duty.
Well, Mr. K, I'm already late.
Alright, I'm almost done.
Hey, film school. Stop reviewing my movies. Kersey attacks the guy right away, and despite getting his ass kicked, he manages to throw the guy into some electroshock machine, which electrocutes him to death. I'd offer you a drink, but I can see you're already a little buzzed.
Pretty lame for a Death Wish movie.
Hey, Freddy. I'm going to take care of your dandruff problem for you.
Well, not that bad.
The film concludes with Kersey's girlfriend discovering evidence of his killing spree, so she leaves town without her engagement ring. When we cut to Kersey, he doesn't seem all that bothered.
Betty's giving a new building party next Thursday. We'd like you to join us.
I'll be there.
Are you sure you're free?
What else would I be doing?
And that's the end of Death Wish 2. So, Is it a bad movie?
Well, it's definitely an ugly movie, but I think that's what it was supposed to be. The filmmakers wanted a gritty, brutal film about punishing vicious criminals, and they got it. If you watch it for what it is, I think it's effective. However, it is certainly not so bad it's good, like the other sequels. Death Wish 2 takes its controversial message very seriously. And as for the rape scene, I don't think it's necessarily exploitive. Unsettling and unpleasant, yes, but Miss Rayburn suggested that it was coy, and I disagree with that.
Any other criticisms?
What is frightening about your movie is it's so bad, and it cost $9 million. The dialogue is something which you wouldn't give an amateur dramatic group in Toxteth in the Marsh. Very uneven cinematography, very uneven music. It's a bad movie.
Well, that's really just opinion and some cheap shots. Anything a little more tangible?
The acting is wooden. You have a wonderful presence in Bronson, who I don't think has ever really been very well used. You have a dreadfully wooden Jill Ireland saying lines which in an English accent grate on the ear.
I disagree. Bronson's fine, and although Ireland might be a little stiff, she's certainly not unpleasant. Closing remarks?
One final sentence is that it is obviously very much on Mr. Winner's mind to be sodomized. I hope it happens to him soon.
And now she's being an asshole about rape. Full circle? Anyway, watch Death Wish 2 for yourself, and if you want, check out this debate, as it is quite interesting. But most importantly, draw your own conclusions. As for me, I appreciate Death Wish 2 for what it is, but I like it for what it isn't. And it isn't Death Wish 3, 4, or 5.
Here's Charles Bronson sitting up there. Get up and shoot somebody. Anyway, I'll tell you this.
It isn't moving. When it moves, follow it.
Charles Bronson, Death Wish 4, The Crackdown.
Hello and welcome to the B-Movie Rollout, a place where we take a look at cheesy, low-budget movies from the 1980s and then remember why we left them there in the first place. Today we will take a look at Death Wish 4, The Crackdown, which stars Charles Bronson as Paul Kersey, otherwise known as the Vigilante. The original Death Wish was produced by our old friend Dino De Laurentiis. It was a controversial film that told the story of Paul Kersey becoming a vigilante after his wife is raped and murdered. The film was a huge success and it demanded a sequel. So who picked up the rights? Another old friend, the Cannon Group. Death Wish 2 is an alright film, but it's mainly known for one thing.
You believe in Jesus? Yes, I do. Well, you're going to meet him.
Death Wish 3 is ridiculous. It is so over the top that I can't even attempt to summarize it here. I can, however, show you my favorite scene.
Hey. What's the problem? What? With the car. What's the problem?
Just get out of my fucking face. Who are you?
We're still in the fucking car. What's it to you?
It's my car. Now you gonna die.
Bronson was notorious for rarely speaking to the press about his films, but he made a point to do it when it came to Death Wish 3. He said the film was, quote, too violent, and he had a horrible experience during production. This, however, did not stop him from starring in Death Wish 4, probably because he was paid very well by the Cannon Group, and alongside Chuck Norris, he was their go-to guy for action movies. So let's take a look at Death Wish 4, The Crackdown. Roll it! The movie begins with the opening credits playing to some wonderful elevator music. We then see a woman leaving work and walking to her car. She finds her car doesn't start because it has been tampered with by some ominous-looking thugs. Predictably, they attack her and attempt to rape her. Enter Paul Kersey.
Who the fuck are you?
Death.
Kersey kills two, but one tries to escape.
Please!
Kersey rolls the dead man over and finds the face to be quite familiar. I wonder where they got this idea. But it was all a dream. But unlike Star Wars, this scene has absolutely no impact on the plot or the character. We then meet Kersey's current girlfriend and her teenage daughter, Erica. Erica leaves immediately with her boyfriend to buy some cocaine, and their dealer gives Erica a little something special. Naturally, that stuff causes her to overdose and she dies, thereby setting the stage for the plot. Wanting revenge, Erica's boyfriend confronts the dealer.
I'm going to the police and I am going to tell them every goddamn thing I know!
But that doesn't go so well.
White ass, goodbye, my man!
Kersey then shows up because he had followed the boy there. He immediately makes a powerful statement against drug addiction.
Hey!
Indeed, Mr. Kersey. Indeed. Kersey kills the dealer and then ditches the scene. We then meet two detectives, one played by Canon regular Soon Tek Ho. You Norris fans out there should definitely recognize him. He played alongside Chuck Norris in Good Guys Wear Black, Missing in Action 2, and quite recently, The President's Man. The other detective is played by a guy who looks like TV pundit Paul Begala.
You sound like a batty old man.
The more that Carly Fiorina is out there, the better the Democrats do, because she's an idiot.
A more decent society would put him in one of those coats with no cuffs and just lead him off somewhere to a room with nice padding on the walls.
Kersey is then contacted by a man named Nathan White, played by John P. Ryan, another Canon regular. He played General Taylor in Delta Force 2, another Norris movie.
Why don't you shut the fuck up?
Nathan tells Kersey that he lost his daughter to cocaine and he wants to hire Kersey to kill the major drug pushers in Los Angeles. Nathan explains to Kersey that two organizations are responsible for most of the drug dealing in LA.
One is headed by a man named Ed Zacharias, the other by two brothers, Jack and Tony Romero. Between them, they control 90% of the narcotics traffic in Southern California.
Kersey's mission is to get them to go to war with each other. Kersey decides to strike at Zacharias first. Somehow he gets a job as a bartender at his estate. The Romero brothers show up as guests of Zacharias, just as Zacharias finds out that one of his street dealers is dead.
We don't know a damn thing about this.
Zacharias then kills one of his associates in an attempt to intimidate the Romeros. Kersey, who had been spying, gives his position away like an idiot.
I don't like trouble.
What are you doing here? I was just using the toilet.
They really had to go. Kersey carries the body out to the car, kills Zacharias' goon, and makes his escape. Well, that was damn easy. We cut back to Nathan informing Kersey about Zacharias' main henchmen.
His main enforcers, Danny Marino, Art Sinella, and Jack Stein.
Wait, who?
His main enforcers, Danny Marino.
Life after football's tough, I guess.
He was on a bye week, by the way, playing golf. He told me that defense is
Kersey goes to a restaurant where they are eating and hides a bomb in a bottle of wine. He convinces a bartender to allow him to serve the wine to the group.
Gentlemen, it's your lucky day today. Bottle of wine on the house.
Hey, not bad. Hey, don't I know you from someplace?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I know your face.
And I know yours. That's Danny Trejo.
I know you. I never forget a face.
What the hell?
See? Alcohol does kill.
What makes it funny to me?
Sorry.
What the fuck is going on?
We're like halfway through the movie, and I have no idea. Kersey then moves to attack Boggs, the Romero's right-hand man. He breaks into his apartment,
but Boggs heads back in because he forgot his opera tickets. Kersey tries to hide, but Boggs spots him immediately. What follows is honestly the funniest part of this movie.
What the fuck are you doing here?
I was making a sandwich.
Knuckle sandwich?
This is no good.
Sorry.
Now, you're gonna tell me what the fuck you're doing here.
I love sandwiches, damn it.
He's such a jerk. I wish he'd drop dead.
Cue. The detectives from earlier had been staking Boggs out, and they rush to investigate the scene, but Kersey escapes. Kersey's next target is a fish processing plant that belongs to Zacharias. The plant is actually a front for Zacharias' drug smuggling. One could say something fishy is going on around here.
I'm a guy watching you do this impression. Where do I laugh?
Kersey opens fire and all hell breaks loose. He blows up the drug lab, kills a few goons, and escapes in a pickup truck. We then find out that Detective Nozaki is actually working for Zacharias. He discovers Kersey's plan, and Zacharias orders him to kill Kersey.
I don't have to kill you. I just want to know who you are working for. I know it's not the Romeros. I can make this scene really painful. I can walk out of here. All I need is a name.
You don't have a name.
Yes, you do. It's Death. Remember?
It can be very, very nasty.
Nasty focus. Oh, you nasty boys.
So can I.
When you have to shoot, don't talk.
Nozaki's partner finds out about this and becomes obsessed with revenge on Kersey. However, his boss warns him not to take action. Zacharias, at this point, suspects something's up. He convinces the Romeros to meet with him at the oil fields to discuss what has been happening. The Romeros think it is a setup, but they agree to meet. Both groups distrust each other and the tension is high. Kersey is quick to take advantage of the situation.
What, you think we're crazy? You keep messing with us, Zacharias, and we're gonna bury you! Tony!
It's a setup!
The action scene is actually quite exciting. Kersey kills the Romeros and injures Zacharias. The rest of the goons either kill each other or run away. Kersey then confronts Zacharias.
Who are you? I'm the guy that set you up.
Why? I don't even know the girl.
I do.
And I'm goddamn pissed off. With Zacharias and the Romeros dead, Nathan arranges to meet with Kersey one last time.
Where's Wade?
I'm to take you to him.
Hey! Hey!
Kersey had been set up. It turns out that Nathan White is actually a drug lord himself. He wanted Kersey to knock out Zacharias and the Romeros because they were his competition. And I thought Halloween 3's plot was elaborate. Nathan kidnaps Kersey's girlfriend to make Kersey come to them. But before Kersey can, he's confronted by Nozaki's partner.
Who
no. Your partner was dirty.
You're a goddamn liar.
So he is a TV pundit. Kersey escapes and makes his way to a roller disco, where Nathan is hiding out. He arrives at the roller disco parking garage and spots Nathan. He jumps out of his car, puts it in drive, and it slowly approaches Nathan. Somehow it is able to turn, even though no one is driving.
He's not here!
Nathan escapes upstairs to the roller disco and alerts his other henchmen. A shootout then follows as the roller disco losers rush to escape. Nathan warns him to stay back, but a confused-looking Paul Kersey pursues him outside. Kersey's girlfriend gets away, but Nathan shoots her, setting the stage for the final confrontation.
I warned you, I'd kill her! I warned you!
I warned you!
I'd kill her!
Hold it, Kersey. Put down the gun.
Stop right there!
God damn it, I'll shoot!
Do whatever you have to.
Kersey then walks away to the sound of some great saxophone music as the end credits roll. You know, that reminds me. Whatever happened to the saxophone? It was used in great 80s classics like Baker Street and The Heat Is On, but then it seemed to disappear. Right around the same time these kinds of movies seemed to disappear. So I hope you'll forgive this tangent and join me in a salute to 80s music that featured the saxophone. A tribute to what I like to call B music. Enjoy. So that's Death Wish 4. A 66-year-old Charles Bronson would later vow that Death Wish 4 would be the final installment of the series, but he would go on to prove himself wrong 7 years later in 1994 with Death Wish 5, The Face of Death, which is another movie we will certainly be taking a look at here in this series. But that review is for another day. My name is Joe, and I want to thank you again for joining me here at the B-Movie Rollout.
Established 17 years ago by actor Charles Bronson, the Make a Death Wish Foundation is dedicated to making children's dreams come true.
Not so fast, little guy. It costs $35 getting here.
I don't have $35.
Hey, pond scum. Here's a 45. You can keep the change. How about giving this kid a break?
Hey, mister, you wouldn't shoot Freddy the Frog, would you?
Of course not.
Are you ready to hear some saxophone? Well, all right then. Let's hear it, Tommy.
On our first shipment in a couple of days. I'll talk to you then. Goodbye.
Charles Bronson. Guns make you nervous?
Death Wish.
Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the B-Movie Rollout, a place where we take a look at cheesy, low-budget action movies from the 1980s and remember why we left them there in the first place. Season 2 will open with Death Wish 5, The Face of Death. You know, I haven't even started the review and I'm annoyed. Death Wish 5 has the word death in the title twice, for God's sakes. Anyway, in my Death Wish 4 review, I said pretty much all I could about the series. Death Wish 1 was a controversial and authentically good movie. But then Canon got a hold of the film rights and added a weird soundtrack from Jimmy Page, and within 2 movies it ballooned into Charles Bronson running around the streets of New York firing a .357 Browning machine gun from the hip. Death Wish 4 was typical Canon schlock, so it seemed that the series was out of steam. And it was, but that didn't stop them from dragging Bronson out to do another one. When Death Wish 1 was released, Charles Bronson was in his 50s, and his age was noticeable then. So let's take a look at how he looked literally 20 years later in Death Wish 5, The Face of Death. Roll it. Naturally, the film opens with a scene in a nursing home. Okay, I'm just kidding. I'll try not to make too many Charles Bronson is old jokes. The opening credits roll to ominous music, implying that this movie will involve the mob. We then awkwardly cut to a fashion show being attended by our hero, Paul Kersey. Backstage, the villain of the piece, Tommy O'Shea, is harassing one of the designers.
I see Chelsea's here.
This is not the time.
That's my daughter, sitting with a geek.
She's not your daughter anymore. A judge took her away from you, remember?
Yeah, I know his Elton John look isn't the most intimidating, but O'Shea turns out to be one of the better elements of this film. Some clunky exposition tells us that O'Shea is the ex-husband of the fashion designer Olivia, and she is now dating Paul Kersey. O'Shea is using Olivia's fashion company to launder money, and when Kersey finds out that O'Shea was harassing Olivia, he goes to confront him.
Is this him? You got a problem?
Guns make you nervous?
Guns have their uses. Idiots with guns make me nervous.
Kersey sees how dangerous O'Shea is, so he meets with the DA to see if anything can be done. Why bother? This is a Death Wish movie. If this series has a thesis, it's that the law does not work. We then cut to Kersey proposing to Olivia without actually proposing.
That it's beautiful. It is. I can't tell you what this means to me and Chelsea. She so needs a father.
Can I take that to mean a yes?
Only Bronson can get away with simply telling a woman that they will be married. I'm not asking. Olivia then notices O'Shea entering the restaurant, so she runs off to the bathroom. Little does she know that O'Shea has sent an assassin dressed in drag to attack her. He brutally smashes her face into the mirror, threatening to do worse if she testifies against O'Shea. We now have the plot of the movie. Kersey must strike at O'Shea to protect Olivia and her young daughter. Kersey returns to his home to gather his arsenal. Unfortunately, his arsenal consists of one snub-nosed revolver. That's right, this is a Death Wish sequel with no this.
Fires a .475 Wildy Magnum. Real stopping power.
No this. And definitely no this.
I warned you! I tell you!
Then we get the obligatory vigilantism is cool monologue.
You're not thinking of going back to your old ways, are you?
Is that such a bad idea?
Let the cops take these guys down. You know, sometimes the law works.
And sometimes it doesn't. You know, these people, they steal, they murder, destroy people's lives, and get away with it. They have alibis, money, lawyers, power. They have everything. Tell me something. How long have you been trying to take these guys down?
16 years. But these guys are pros. I mean, it's not like some gang of doped-out muggers.
16 years. Oh, it's a long time to be failing.
Oh, wow. Now that is a shot. But I have to bring something up here. Schlockmasters Golan Globus purchased Canon Films in 1979 and acquired the film rights to Death Wish shortly thereafter. In 1995, Death Wish 5 was being released on home video. That means that the Death Wish sequels have been in production in some form or another from about 1979 to 1995, which is the span of about 16 years.
16 years? Oh, it's a long time to be failing.
Despite her face trauma, Olivia stays determined to testify, so Tommy O'Shea sends the same assassin to kill her. Nice plan. But wait, is that Seth Meyers?
How rude.
It isn't, but damn if it doesn't look like him. Kersey naturally recognizes him and tells Olivia to make a run for it, but they manage to kill her regardless. Kersey escapes, but O'Shea is not done. He then moves to take custody of his daughter, who Kersey vowed to protect if Olivia was killed.
He has the legal rights. I apologize, sir.
Read it and weep. She's coming with me. Like hell she is.
Kersey then goes on the offensive. His first strike is killing one of O'Shea's henchmen with a poisoned cannoli.
You got a problem?
Ugh. We then find out that one of the DAs is actually working for O'Shea, but Kersey's on his next mission, to kill the Seth Meyers assassin, with a remote-controlled soccer ball.
Hey, Freddie. I'm gonna take care of your dandruff problem for you.
Oh, what the fuck, movie? A remote-controlled soccer ball? Think about that. Do those things even exist? That's not the point. This is a Death Wish movie. I want to see this. Not this. The DA that's working for O'Shea catches up to Kersey, and with a scene that reminds me of Death Wish 4, he blows his opportunity.
I didn't think it would be this easy, Kersey.
I can make this scene really painful.
Neither did I. So can I.
When you have to shoot, shoot, don't talk.
O'Shea arranges to set a trap for Kersey in the warehouse of Olivia's fashion business. But just before that, we get my personal favorite scene of the movie, when O'Shea's girlfriend brings him some cannolis for a snack.
Well, there she is. Poor, sweet, dim-witted Max. Our resident retard. What? Chicky choked to death on a cannoli. Do you not remember? You had a brain, you would take it off the plate!
Moron!
Kersey falls for O'Shea's trap, but he catches on quick. He knocks out O'Shea's thugs by shooting one, electrocuting another, and mummifying a third in saran wrap. Unbelievable. I guess you could say it's all wrapped up. Kersey kills O'Shea's last henchman by shooting him into a shredder.
You wouldn't shoot another man, would you? Would you? Kersey?
Finally, a kill that feels like it belongs in a Death Wish sequel. Unfortunately, the moment doesn't last when Kersey confronts O'Shea.
Wait! Listen. Whatever you want, whatever you need, I don't need anything. But you need a bath.
Just what the hell is a vat of acid doing in a fashion designer's warehouse in the first place? And just like in Death Wish 3 and 4, Kersey is allowed to leave the scene of the crime by a sympathetic cop, bringing a rather abrupt end to the movie and the series.
Thanks, Lieutenant.
Hey, Lieutenant, if you need any help, give me a call.
Death Wish 5 really wanted to be an authentic crime drama about the mob, and unlike the 3 films before it, Death Wish 5 took itself quite seriously, which is the film's downfall. Death Wish 2, 3, and 4 are extremely over-the-top action schlock, and they're fun. Death Wish 5 is not. The setting, the plot, and the music all represent a major change in style for the Death Wish series. And that's not something you want to do to a series 5 movies in. But perhaps Death Wish 5 is attempting to recapture the dark and rather serious tone of the first one. Well, it doesn't, because Death Wish 1, to its credit, has a message, and a rather controversial one at that. Death Wish 5 has no message. It just rehashes the law doesn't work thing that had become quite boring at this point.
Sometimes it doesn't.
And then there's that stupid scene with the remote-controlled soccer ball. It's as if this movie couldn't decide if it was serious or camp, and frankly, it fails at both. The only redeeming aspect of this film is Tommy O'Shea, as he is obviously having some fun with that character. Even so, he doesn't come close to matching the ridiculousness level of villains like the Giggler, or the Reverse Mohawk Guy, or Mr. I Warn You, that defined the earlier Death Wish sequels. And Bronson's kills in this movie aren't even in the same league as the raw viciousness of something like this.
You believe in Jesus? Yes, I do. Well, you're gonna meet him.
Ultimately, Death Wish 5 is a letdown on all fronts. And it's a shame that it would be the final cinematic appearance of the character Paul Kersey and the actor Charles Bronson.
Tonight, we review an aging Charles Bronson in Death Wish 9.
I wish I was dead. Hey.
You look like a beached whale.
Mr. O'Shea.
Alf, tried to warn you, didn't I? You wouldn't listen. Just acting, Albert. Relax. But in all seriousness, my God, that's gross. Big tub of guts.